have our leadership class, so we're going to have a whole lot of togetherness on Tuesdays for these next couple of weeks. So, all right. So last week was part one of our how to earn $50,000 a year or more, or again, to get on track to earning that, or to do a portion of that to get yourself to say $30,000 a year, whatever number it is that you want. Some of you already make $50,000 and want $60,000 and more, and that's fine. All of this is, of course, the things that you're doing to get yourself to be on track for that. So last week we talked about the things that you do in order to get yourself on track for that. And it was really the basics of the business, wasn't it? Remember, it was make your consistent contacts every day. If you're getting through to 5 people a day, which really means you're probably contacting 15 people a day, then you're getting in touch with enough people. You're hostess coaching, you're doing customer care, you are following up with recruit leads, and you're following up with recruiting. While we're on that topic, you know, it's funny because all of this review that we're doing here as far as, you know, all these good business habits are the things that take time to cultivate and come around and pay you in huge dividends in the end. Last week, one of the new recruits that I welcomed to the team last week was Monique. And Monique, I was out to lunch with Donna and Belinda booking the Scott event. And right as we were leaving, I had one of those contact from your website emails, which 99% of the time are like, I am deaf, need credit card, need to send you certified check, blah, blah, blah. They're like always the scam emails. So as soon as you see those, you never even get that excited because they're usually a scam of some sort. But it wasn't. It was, hi, Michelle, I'm super interested in joining the team. Please call me. So when I got home, I called her up. She called me right back because I got her voicemail. I shot her a text that just said, hey, left you a voicemail. It's Michelle Zito. She called me back in like 32 seconds. And she's like, I got your number from Marianne Neely. She said that I said I was interested in getting started with Park Lane finally. And she said, do you have someone already? She was like, no, I was going to go on the website. Oh, no, I have a great person for you. And she gave me your phone number. And I was like, oh. So Marianne Neely was just a guest at a show early in the summer or midsummer maybe. She was actually at a show with a lot of annoying people. Remember, I don't know if you, I just realized that I probably shouldn't say this on a recording. But anyway, she was at a show that was a difficult show, but Marianne was a spectacular guest. She placed a large order. She was there with her granddaughter and her daughter, and they put in a big order. When it came, she had like an issue of some sort. And I handled it. I got whatever had to be replaced and whatnot. And obviously she was happy with that transaction that she sent her coworker right this way. So you have to love that she held my contact information, and maybe her contact information was in my phone because of the return problem. You know what I mean? I actually think it was because she called me each time. And as opposed to like text or send me a message on Facebook. So, you know, we take care of people, we make a great impression, and before you know it, you have an amazing recruit lead who is now launching this month in time to be included in this trip and stuff. So just great when you are consistently engaging in proper business habits, how people will be sent your way. And you'll see a lot of that. I'm sure many of you that have been around more than 5 minutes have a story like that. Belinda's forever getting people come her way from, you know, this one told me to get in touch. And, you know, anybody who's been in business for a little bit has that happen and can tell a story about that. So, you know, booking enough shows. We put that number right out there last week, right? We really said if you want to hold 8 shows a month, which is the true number to get into a higher income range, you really need to be booking 10 to 12 because cancellations and postponements happen. It's part of life. Getting enough recruiting information out there, always doing the recruiting talk. I feel like a lot of times people leave that out, right? Would you admit to having, Candace, you're nodding, that sometimes you get to the end of the show and you're like, you know what? I really got to like wrap this up. I'm just going to skip that part. Oh my gosh, if there is ever a part of the show not to skip, it's the part where you share the business opportunity. Go ahead, Candace. You look like you want to say something.
Yes, this is so exciting. I did that the last time after we talked about it, and a guy came up. He was in the kitchen at a party. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, much better now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I did that the last time after remembering what you said, and a guy was in the kitchen listening. He said, "I want to do this," and I was like, "What?" And he was not. He was a little bit engaged in the party, but he was like, "Yes, I want to sign up. Tell me what to do." And I was like,
Love it.
"Yes, it worked." Okay, that's all I have.
No, it's so true because, you know, what if you're finding that the show is running long, especially if that's happening to you consistently, where you keep getting to the end of the show and you're like have lost them and whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna do that Q&A. I'm just gonna get to the order taking. That means that you need to take something else out of the show, not that you need to take the Q&A out of the show. So you need to take out a whole, because I feel like we have probably a standard number of necklaces or combinations or whatever that we tend to show. Take out one whole grouping so that the show is shorter and you have time to do your Q&A. And especially because it generates them a prize and stuff. People actually really like to play that game because they do like the shouting things out and the asking the questions, and they certainly love winning a prize at the end of the show. So please, if you're finding that you're running out of time for that, it only takes a couple of minutes. So do it anyway. And then next time, make your rest of your show shorter. Start closer to on time, whatever it takes in order to make sure that you are always, always doing that as part of your show so that you're getting enough recruiting information out there that people will then say yes to taking some information and booking a decider show. And then, of course, the final part was helping your first recruits start out strong and paying one-on-one attention to them. One of the things that I'm actually doing with this Monique, because we've never met, it's not like she's a show guest. I asked her, when was the last time you've been to a show? Because she said, I've loved Park Lane for so long, and I just want to, I always said, eventually I'm going to sell this. And lucky me, that day came after I met her coworker, Marianne. And I said, when was the last time you've been to a Park Lane party? She said, oh, at least 10 years. Can you imagine? She'd been sitting on this for 10 years. So thankfully, no, she hasn't been to any other party and she wasn't on anyone else's email list. So clearly, I don't just want to show up to her house the day of the party. Like, I need to get with her before that. I want to start, forming a relationship, let her see the jewelry, because she does want to order her kit before the party. So tomorrow night, I'm going to her house. I said, why don't we get acquainted? I'll bring my jewelry. We'll go over everything and we'll pick out your kit. And she's like, that sounds great. And so she's so excited. And I'm going to do everything properly with her, the getting to know you sheet, the one-on-one calls, making sure she's on the orientation Zoom or watching a past recording. And if you're taking those steps with your new team members, they're going to see greater success as well. And many of the leaders are very, very good at that. And those of you that are new recruiters, just follow your leader's lead and you'll have great success as well. So does everyone have that income potential tracking sheet that I put in the files? And I'm hoping that it eventually made it to your email, because we even sent it a second time to make sure that everyone would have it. Yes, that's it, Christy. Thank you. Great. Yep, Jen, it's in your binder. Now, those of you that are leaders referring to the one in your binder, I did find one math error, so we'll correct that on your sheet today. So this sheet was originally formed by Belinda Ellsworth and Step Into Success based on doing nationwide averages for making this assorted annual income based on just your personal sales and based on just your, and then based on adding in team building. Now, what was so interesting to me, because she said, you know, if you're teaching this class, you can use this sheet as is, or you can edit it to reflect your company. Well, guess what? Of course, I updated it to reflect Park Lane. And the numbers for Park Lane were in many cases double or more the company average. And it's because not the company average, the industry average. And that's because we make a higher base rate of commission. We go up higher than a lot of other companies, and we are paid on a team way higher percentages than other companies. Way higher. And this is not speculation. Many of us have worked at other companies before, and I can tell you my previous company, the most you would make on a recruit, a personal recruit, was 3%. By comparison, here at Park Lane, at my same level that I was making 3% on a recruit at my other company, I make 15% on here at Park Lane. 3 is the lowest percentage I would make on a much farther downline person. And comparatively, at my other company, I would have made 0 on that person because they cut it off at 3 levels down. Park Lane pays infinitely deep. So that means that one recruit at Park Lane is the equivalent of 5 recruits at my other company. And some of our others, and including people on this call, came from that same company. One has a relative working at that same company, and we just scratch our heads because once you know, I don't know how you continue to stay in a comp plan like that. So I'm not just saying we make more than other companies. The math is there. The comp plans are there to look at. Another problem is that many other companies' comp plans are so complicated you couldn't even begin to figure out what they are. There are tenths of percentages, there's fractions. We don't do any of that. We have like normal numbers that you can figure out. So on this income potential tracking sheet, this is to really just show you the basics of if you want to earn this much, here's how. Okay, so let's take a look at this sheet. If you were doing just 2 shows a month, what I did was base this on Park Lane's pay scale of, and what I did do was base it on area leader level pay, because some of you are just under that and some of us are just over that. So I thought the 40% was a fair middle ground, especially with the boss up. Like everyone can be an area, so let's get everybody to that 40%. Okay, but so you can always adjust that column, the 40% column, to what your level actually pays. If you're a branch, here you'd be putting 35. However, if you are a senior division, you can change that to 45. You can change it to 50, because if you have a recruit in any given month, you get the extra 5% and not 45%, but in fact 50. So you can change this middle column here that says commission 40% to whatever you actually are paid. I did an average of 40% for our training purposes. Now the times 10 months, we're actually doing only a 10-month, just in case you have 2 terrible months somewhere there in there. Now, to be honest, jewelry never has a downtime month. We have, it's funny, I really should have deleted this up at the top, because see how it says based on 2 grace months, such as July and December. We sell a ton in December, and we sell a ton in July. July is actually one of our best months of the year because we just get the new catalog. We come home, we have a whole new collection. So at my other company, May was always a terrible month. May is fantastic at Park Lane. We're wrapping up another trip. We always have a super high month in May. August tends to be a terrible month in other companies. again, we're coming right off a convention. August has actually been one of our highest months of the year every year that we've been a team. So to do even this times 10 is really only basing that on if you have a terrible month, because Park Lane does not have terrible months. Like, the end. So this is actually, you will see higher annual income even just based on this, because I know I don't base my income on a 10-month calendar. I base it on a 12 because I work 12 months out of the year. Okay. And then that final column is, of course, your annual income. Excuse me. So if you're just doing 2 shows a month, personal sales of $1,000 based on a $500 show average, that's a $400 paycheck. And then that would be $4,000 for the year. Now, there are plenty of people out there that are super happy with $400 a month. So please don't overlook that in terms of like, oh, why would you even bother? No, there are people that need that $400 for lots of different things and are super happy with that. Phyllis, actually, you shared a great story about one of your newer people with me the other day on the phone when she was so excited with her paycheck and what she was going to do with it. About the lunch.
Which one?
About the lunch.
I don't remember. I have so many stories. I don't remember which story you're talking about.
Your new team member that was excited about lunch now. She got paid.
Oh, my girl, Carl. When Carla said, oh my God, I got my check today. She said, I've been packing my lunch for the past couple of months, and now I can actually buy lunch. She was very excited about that. Carla had so many things to happen. But I had 5 recruits last month, so I had a lot of stories last month with those new paychecks.
Sorry. Maybe you want a spreadsheet to keep track of all your stories.
The stories. Yeah, she was very excited about that. She told me she was so happy that she could go out to lunch instead of having to pack her lunch every day. And that's her goal now, that she can at least have lunch outside the office 2 or 3 days a week.
And how great is that, right? That is a nice treat for people. She obviously has a full-time job. And yeah, Anthony says the same thing. Packing lunch is such a pain in the neck. If you don't work full-time, like, you don't realize what a big bane of your existence that is. And if you're packing kids' lunches, man, you do know. But holy mackerel, I just thought that was a great, great story. And as you build your income, especially as you hit leadership, you become in our business very desensitized to $100. You know, we'll do a show that's only $400 and make $100, $120, depending on your income level, depending on your commission rate. You might even make $200. And then I'll say, so how was your show last night? It was all right. I mean, it was only like 400, which basically means, you know, it was all right. I mean, I only made $150. I left my house. What you're essentially saying there is, I left my house for 3 hours and I only made $150. Like, where else are people doing that? Unless they're performing a surgery in that amount of time. Unless they're doing something illegal in that amount of time.
And
right?
probably getting a snack and some drinks too.
Exactly. So here we are, you know, so desensitized to $100. And let's keep in mind that that $100 is lunch out for people. It's their kid getting lunch, buying lunch a couple of days at school so that that working mom doesn't have to, after dinner, after this, after that, now make lunches for the next day. There's just a lot of little things. So I want to make sure that we're certainly not impugning the lower levels of income because people's goals are different. But of course, the purpose of this two-part Lunch and Learn is getting into those higher income levels. However, part of getting to that higher income level is finding people that want higher income levels, but also are extremely satisfied with $500 a month, right? Because a lot of people doing a little is a big chunk of your income as your team grows. So this chart, the upper chart, is just showing based on your personal show schedule and these averages what you would learn. So the highlighted one is at the 8. So if you did 8 shows a month and they were all $500 each, that's $4,000 in sales. Okay, at that commission rate, that's $1,600, and you'd make $16,000 a year based on that. Now, again, that's still a low estimate for many reasons. What's one of the reasons why that's still a low estimate?
Because our show averages are usually higher than the 500.
That's a big part of it. If you're doing 8 shows a month, there's no way they're each only 500. You're going to be starting it as you get better, your skills improve, your host coaching gets better. You develop a VIP group where now you're doing 8 in-person shows, but you're probably also getting 2 shows worth of online sales from a VIP group. Your sales are way higher doing 8 shows a month than 4,000. In a month that I do 8 shows solid, typically the sales are much more like, 6,000, 7,000 for sure. And then obviously the income jumps from there. Additionally, there are additional bonuses that you earn while you are making that level of income. So this is just still a bare bones estimate. Okay,
Michelle?
now, yes.
Sorry, is there like a report that you can get what your show average is?
You know, it's hard here at Park Lane on the report because the report bases it on every order you submit. So like orders
It's just
that
better
you
to
just
just
put
go
in,
through and look.
yeah, jack it down. So really what your best bet is to look at your own numbers and let's say like a month, like just to kind of do it manually and look at what are your real shows, how many were there, and just divide it by the number of shows.
Gotcha. Okay.
It would be faster and more accurate.
Okay.
And do that for, say, the last 3 months. That is an excellent project. In fact, everybody jot that down as your first action step, is to do the last 3 months. We're still in October, so why not do July, August, and September. Add up the sales of your shows, and then divide it by the number of shows you did. And let's share, at least with your leader, if you don't want to share it with the whole group, but let's share what your show average is. You can also, if you want to really give yourself some good analysis, do the numbers of your in-home shows. In fact, I would really like you to do this. Do the number of add up your total sales from your in-home live events, divide that by the number of shows you did. Add up which ones are actually online sales, a flash sale you did in your group, somebody did a Facebook party, right? Things like that, and add up that average. And then maybe do the whole thing together, the average of those averages, because it's great to see the difference in the sales of your in-home or in-person events versus your online events, and then overall what that does for your income. So let's all do that for the last 3 months. I'm going to do it myself. That way you know what you're working with, because that would help you make a more accurate chart for your own self as well, because now you can do it based on your show average and your commission rate. I had to pick something in the middle in order to do this class for you guys. Those of you that have this sheet in your leader binder from the leader retreat, the 12 column, actually that needs to be changed to 15 to be accurate. That's the 15 number, not the 12. I noticed that when I was going over everything.
Wait, I'm sorry. What did you say?
The 12 column, those numbers would be correct if 12 was 15. 15 shows generate 7,500, 3,000, 10 months, 30,000.
Oh, that should be 12.
The 12 should be a 15.
Okay.
Now, as you can see, that means that you will have a much easier time getting to the 50,000 mark when building a team, because you're one person. You can do a multi-hostess event and do 2 shows in a night, but that's about it, right? Whereas you can be doing a show on the same Friday night that 10 people on your team are doing a show, and now you're making money on all of those shows. You can be home watching Dancing with the Stars, and 4 of your team members can be out doing a show and you're making money. That's the difference between building a business and really just holding a job. You know, a job, remember, and we've gone over this before, but there's always new people. A job, you're exchanging time for money, right? You go at 9, you leave at 5, you get paid for the number of hours that you're there. And by only doing shows, you're kind of doing the same thing. You get paid when you go out and do a show. So if you're only doing shows and not building a team, what you're doing is still better than a regular job because you're doing it on your schedule. However, you're not truly getting the benefit of direct sales until you start building a team. So let's take a look at how exponentially you can add to your income by building a team. Because if you have just one new team member and she's doing $1,500 a year, again, I did the average of 8%. Now there are recruits you can make 15% on. There's recruits that you're making 8, 6, and 3 as you continue on through our career plan, but I based it on the average of 8. That gives you an extra $1,700 per year, jacking up your average. So this is based on adding this chart at the bottom. I just want to make sure you understand. Remember how the 8 column up top was highlighted? The whole bottom chart is based on adding the 8 column to this number. Okay, so how many people are on your team? How much volume are they doing? This is how we get to moving up in this chart. And again, all lowballed. If you had 32 people working on your team, it's going to be much higher than this, chances are, because again, this is based on a $500 show average. When I look at the downline sales, there are bajillions of shows that go in a month at 1,000, 1,200, 1,800, 700, 900. So again, the numbers are going to be way higher than what you see here than a $500 show average, but you have to pick something. So I picked 500. In a way, I wish I didn't, because I know that it's really more. But this is all just to give you some visual on what can the income become as you are adding people to your team. Because this is based on, the recruit putting in 3 shows a month. Okay, so I know that some of you are numbers people and like to see things like this. Others of you look at something like this and you're like, okay, I want my 20 minutes of my life back because I don't know what the hell she is talking about. Okay, and believe me, I get it, because I'm not a super numbers person myself, but where I am a numbers person is figuring out income and figuring out, team things that you need to know for bonuses and things like that. My leader, the leaders will tell you when it comes to what do I need for this, what do I need for that, those are the numbers I know how to do. And we can help you with that to build your income. But it all starts, for those of you that are fashion directors, with sharing the business with one person. Because once you're a branch, we can definitely get you to area with this Boss Up. The Boss Up area promotion is having 3 active people and team sales of 3,000 between all of you. So that means at the barest minimum, you could have 3 people with 300 net in each. That's 900. And then you only have to sell the other 2,100. I mean, that is easy, easy, easy. Because one of the 3 can be the person who got you to branch. The normal requirements, that's not the case. So to miss out on an opportunity to jump to 40% in a 5-week month with requirements that little, I feel like you're really missing an opportunity if we're not at least trying for it.
And that is just net money, right?
Correct. Always promotions are based on net. So the recruits need 300 net, and the overall sales 3,000 net. So if this is kind of like, if you just listen to this and you're like, huh, I really could do area this month. I should talk to my leader about that. Please make sure that you tell us and tell your leader, tell the upline, because sometimes we don't know. I had somebody a month or two ago tell me on like the second to last day, by the way, I was going for such and such this month. I had no idea that's what she was going for. And she didn't make it, but part of it was because we weren't focused on it the whole entire month, and it was a bigger promotion that we needed to be working on it the whole entire month. So don't keep those types of things to yourself. Nobody wants to surprise. Okay, promotion is not a surprise party. It was like, oh, I wanted to surprise my leader. No, there's no surprises. We want to work with you every step of the way. We want to run the numbers. We want to make sure, because you want to know what's the worst surprise? That you were $50 short when we look at it on Friday. That's the surprise we want to avoid. We want to stay on tracking everything along the way. So, does anyone have a question on anything that we talked about last week or this week, or even just want to make a comment on something?
I have a quick question. How do you talk to your leaders when they're promoting so quickly and they feel that they're not making as much money because now it's 3% instead of 8 or 15%?
Yeah, that's probably a better discussion for our call tonight, the leader call. But the general answer to that for sure is that means that they're not factoring in the volume that those new leaders are increasing. You know, yeah, when they were one person, when they were one person with one person, you were making 8%. They go down to 6% when you promote, but they also brought in 6 more people, 5 more people. So they're forgetting the additional volume that is being added to the number because their team is bigger.
Okay.
That's the basics.
I think that it's more the question of, okay, they hit area. Now they hit area. Now they're not bringing the numbers that they were because they were going crazy to hit area. And now the numbers are back to nothing.
Yeah, well, that's a separate issue altogether. That means that area needs to continue to rebuild. And again, that's why we're doing the leadership class tonight. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's make sure they're on there, because nobody wants to promote to a level and then not see the advantages of that level.
So you will be covering that tonight?
In the class in general, it's a 3-part class, so for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts or questions? All right. Well, I hope that this was helpful. Last week's content, again, was really the basics of getting to this and having all your fine-tuned business habits, which really is what puts you on track for higher income. So if you were on this one but actually never saw last week, definitely circle back to that and make sure that you see that recording. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. New people, I hope to see on the orientation tonight at 8 Eastern, and then leaders, areas, and above, I hope to see you at 9. Bye.